book is called All About Brains, a book about people, is inspired by her own daughter's epilepsy diagnosis and celebrates the beauty of neurodiversity. Lake Bell joins us now. And you've got the book out. How about that?
I've got it. I mean, I'm really showing up.
It's a great book.
You must be proud of it, though, Lake.
I'm very proud of it. Yeah, I think neurodiversity is certainly true to my heart. I grew up with dyslexia and thought of myself in the learning setting as other, or slow reader and all those things. And then once I knew it was dyslexia, I was like, oh, okay, well that helps sort of lead me through my academic career,
Yeah.
And similarly, I think that really this book really came from Nova and how she spoke to her friends about her epilepsy, how she sort of owned it and was able to articulate it in a way that like other children could understand.
Well, so that's actually part of what's so amazing about the book is it's all about neurodiversity. There are kids with different diagnoses, and then the kids describe them to the class, and they do it in a very distinctive way. How did you get how did you get it right?
It was actually during COVID, we had, we all had Zoom school.
Yeah.
And there was one time when we had Share. And, of course, I'm sort of listening in, and the Epilepsy Foundation had these little badges that you could gain if you shared about, educated or advocated for your epilepsy and neurodiversity. So I said to Nova, I was like, do you want to earn a badge? And maybe for Share, you could talk about your epilepsy. And she was, oh, yes. And so she, on her own volition, stood up and talked to her class about what epilepsy is, and she sort of articulated it in this very unique way that it was these electrical systems in her brain that were just misfiring and causing these kind of charges and sparkles.
How old
Sparkles
was she?
is a great term.
I love the word
sparkles.
sparkles.
So
yes,
great.
I love that.
And I was like, gosh, that's exactly it.
As you call it, reframing.
Reframing it, yeah.
How old was Nova then when she
She was around 6 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I think, the other kids were sort of then curious as opposed to scared. They were sort of like, well, tell me more, like, what do you mean sparkles? Oh, they're called seizures. Well, what are seizures? And what I loved about the conversation is that these were all real words. It wasn't like masking behind these scary words like epilepsy. They were really talking about it. And then that sort of led me to this idea of, gosh, wouldn't it be great to just have a starting point for parents and kids to, in a fun way that's accessible, to really talk about epilepsy, anxiety even, dyslexia. I wish I had that as a kid, and allowing it to be these peer-to-peer conversations, So that's
Once you started talking about it, writing about it, posting about it, what did you realize?
So what I realized is that I started realizing that there were more people around me in my own community, even in the entertainment business, that have epilepsy that never talk about it. And I was like, well, why? And it felt that it was really taboo and that they felt their otherness actually made them concerned that other people wouldn't look at them in the same way.
Right.
Like, well, that sounds scary. Like, do I have to keep a wallet nearby in case you have a seizure? Like there was a miseducation of kind of how to be around someone.
I love a peer-to-peer conversation, but I also think it's important for adults or people who don't know what to say or how to say.
Yeah.
What is your advice on how to even start a conversation without offending anybody?
I mean, I think it's good to start young, right? So instead of reading, I remember reading books about like, well, this bunny is different than the other bunnies. And I was like, what are we talking about? I don't even know what's wrong with this. But like, how about just talk about there are people in your class, right? And there are people in our family that imbue some version of neurodiversity, and certainly I shared with Nova. I was like, yes, I suffer from anxiety disorder. I do, and here are the things that I do to help myself in that. And I have dyslexia, but guess what? I'm a writer and I'm a director and I'm an actor, and I don't allow for those things to get in the way.
And Nova's thriving today.
She's thriving.
Right.
Parents are thinking, I don't know if my kid's going to like an important book or whatever. There are a lot of fart jokes in here, too,
Listen,
okay?
you know who loves fart jokes? Everybody.
Everybody.
So
There is
You know who loves fart jokes?
no diversity in that
Everybody.
opinion. It's a universal.
Lake, that's so true.
That's why I wanted to get that in.
I'm like, I love them.
Lake Bell, thank you very much.
Thank you.